Well, greetings. This is Dr. Dean Blevins, and welcome to THE 770 Theology and Technology, which is actually an asynchronous online class. But I'm creating this video basically as a way of introducing you to the format of Moodle, particularly for those of you who've been a part of NTS. There have been some changes, and there's a few wrinkles in this class. And for those of you who are new to NTS, hopefully this orientation will at least help you navigate the Moodle site and understand some of how I design this asynchronous online class. Just a reminder, we do have another video session. It occurs on the 22nd of August from 5 to 6 p.m. Central Time. It's a 1 hour time together. And that's when we'll talk more about the content of the class and how that affects its design. But I really did want to talk to you about the sort of structure and the flow of the class today, if for no other reason, so that you have kind of a sense of at-homeness as you navigate the course, even the week prior to our class actually beginning on the 22nd of August. So without further ado, let me share a screen with you. And what you'll see, for those of you who are even familiar with Moodle, which is our learning management system at Nazarene Theological Seminary, is that there has been some revisions that has created a kind of different flow and format to the Moodle site, a lot more white space. For the sake of this presentation, you're going to note that a lot of the fonts are large, and it's just the way in which they're set up for my screen. And hopefully be a little bit helpful then in seeing this as you're watching it on your computer. The home section looks kind of normal. There are places for introduction. The Center for Academic Writing usually is at the top, and then you start running into all kinds of classes. But probably the best place you'll want to go as you begin to navigate this Moodle is actually to My Courses, which is located in one of these top navigational bars, a button, if you will, that you click on. And that will show you your classes for the semester. Now, bear in mind right now, the tab shows future because this is the week before the class actually begins. But most of the time, hopefully you'll be set up for in progress, the courses that you're currently taking. But you'll see you have some other options. We're just going to leave it on future for now. And you'll have your classes aligned. And if you just cursor over the title, you'll see a bar show up, and that's your link. Those of you who've done this, yeah, I know this is pretty traditional, but this is also to help new people. Click on that, and you enter into the course. Now, I'm going to do something quickly here and just kind of show you how the class is set up. The very first banner, if you will, is around general, and this is normally the elements of the course that will always be there. Maybe not quite this large, but will always be there as the semester unfolds. You'll find a place for your syllabus right at the top, where you'll download the most recent version of that. There is a link to this video that's actually going to be available to you so that you have access to it at least the first few weeks of the semester, so you know how to navigate inside of Moodle. There is a forum called Announcements, and I'll be the first one to tell you one of my tendencies is to send out a lot of information through the general announcements forum. The reason for that is it's an easy way for me to address the whole class. It's a place for prompts, for coaching, for general reflections, and all of those go to your nts.edu email inbox. And so I know that you're getting those as individual notifications by email, as well as being able to locate them under the announcements tab. So one thing I would say, if you don't use your nts.edu email regularly, I would adopt that for the semester, and you might even want to arrange to auto-forward the email to your preferred Gmail or Hotmail account, who knows these days. But if at all possible, check that email regularly, because that's the first place that you're going to get notifications from me as I post them in the announcements. But they will always be in the announcements as well, so you can always refer back to them once you get inside the Moodle location. And a lot of times, if you get an email from me that's kind of prompting on what to expect for a book review, or what to expect with reading for the next week, or maybe pointing out some resources, always rest assured that you almost always those come via announcement, and you can always go back into the Moodle class and see them again for reference. There's also a forum for prayer and open discussion. It's also a good place sometimes to post a general course question that maybe one of your classmates might respond to even before I do. And yes, for now, you'll see even the link to our Zoom video link for that first orientation on the 22nd August. Now, those of you who've done a lot of Moodle classes know after that, usually there's these kind of what they call sections that you can either open all of them or close portions of them, and it becomes a very long screen. Some of you who've had courses with me know that can be super long. And so instead, what I've designed this time around is to offer the rest of the class via pages. And so each of those sections are their own individual page. And there are a number of them. There's one called Course Overview and Resources, one for the general assignments, the bigger assignments we have in the class. The Digital Cafe weekly forums, which I'll spend a lot more time on in just a minute. 3 makerspace locations for digital communication, technology in the body, and technology in society. Those elements show up in your syllabus as well, and you will be active in at least 2 of these 3 makerspaces, both working on a general project and contributing to someone else's efforts in a general project. And there'll even be a separate forum for discussion inside that and resources that we may not spend time with today, but those are places you want to spend a little time looking at. The forums, by the way, will not be available until you upload some work, if you will, into what's called a glossary, where you're actually putting in key terms. And once you get a certain number of those, to at least get to the contributor level, then that unlocks the online forum engagement so that you can be collaborating with someone in and around projects, either your project or their project for the semester. Then there is a page dedicated to a lot of resources, a page toward badges, which will be explained in the syllabus, and I won't spend as much time today. And since those makerspace projects don't have to be written papers, they can be that, but they might be something else. I've given 2 or 3 sort of thought provokers of other ways of creating a project in the class under the makerspace examples. And all of those pages are available to you on the main page of the class. And if you ever get lost, you can always get back to this page either by clicking on the general link, and you'll see the black name general shows a hyperlink, or you can always go up to course, and there is a course link, and it's right above the general. But since that title might change on occasion, this might get you back to where you need to be to kind of get at least to the very front end of the class. And this is the main way of kind of controlling all the material so that you know what's available in a way that doesn't always get in your face, so to speak, but at least you can access it as you need it. Good example under course overview, for instance. Again, let me point out, you always get the general at the top. This first banner stays with you from one page to the next, hopefully a little bit smaller than how I have it set up here, but you do have to scroll through those quickly, and then you get to the resources under course overview and resources link or page. That includes the link to the Center for Academic Writing and the help desk, as well as my videos I've created for people when it comes to doing research and writing, and there are several of those available to you. A link to a set of resources that at least I want you to be able to look at early from Didache, which is an online journal that addresses both technology during the pandemic and kind of gives you some reflections by other people from that standpoint. And yes, a link to the writings I've done in light of basically technology and theology over the years. And I do that only to assure that you get my voice through those writings, even though I'm trying to facilitate a class, not dominate it as the semester goes along. Now, if you'll know, you're done with that page at that point. And again, you could always sort of arrow back if you wanted to, but all you have to do is hit general, and all the pages then reappear. Now, if you're going, wait a minute, I'd really like to get from one place inside one page, like course resources, but I'd really like to get to the general assignments or maybe get all the way down to the more specific resources. How do I do that in a hurry? Well, on the left-hand side of the page, if you take a look at that, you'll see these four bars that says Open Course Index, and when you do, yes, that is where you get all of the different forums, hyperlinks, assignment links, all in sequence through the whole class. And so, yeah, under general, you get those basic elements. Course overview, we just walked through the ones that are there, but then the general assignments, the digital cafe, weekly forums, and you can see a lot of those to scroll through. Then down to digital communication, technology in the body, technology in society, and the resources that are available and the badges and the makerspace examples. And so everything's there. And you could go literally from a specific resource that's under the tech that comes next, a hyperlink or the brain initiative, and actually see the resource immediately that way, or jump up to a makerspace forum that you would be active in, or actually go all the way up to a weekly post. And that would be one way to kind of spend time navigating through these. But again, I just want to stress, anytime you feel like you are sort of lost, and this is a good example, all you have to do anytime you're in here is you can always go to the top of the specific forum or link you're looking at, and you'll see the title of the class. You click on that, and voila, you're back to the main pages, and you can spend your time always kind of going back to ground zero and locating where you need to be, even if you have this navigation bar open at the same time. So yes, you can go from one specific resource or assignment to one specific forum, but you also have the class organized in these pages just to kind of keep everything sort of within manageable boxes, if you will, as the semester unfolds. Now, I did want to talk a little bit about the digital cafe and the weekly forums. I'm going to open this up. You can always close the index so that you have better space to work with. Again, you always have to scroll through that top banner, which frankly, you'll be glad it's there on occasion, just nothing else to find general. But then when you get down into the digital cafe, you'll find that we have forms set up for each week. And actually, after the first week, which is a get to know you week, we have 2 forms set up for each week. And those will be clearly identified: week 1, week 2, week 2, second forum. And then you'll also find that there are places where I will be grading your online class participation, and on occasion a URL that has a kind of specific resource that directly applies to that week's engagement. So that happens in Digital Cafe. So what do you do when it comes to posting, since that's going to be one of the major ways we engage with each other week to week in an asynchronous class? Let me kind of skip down to week 3, and you'll see that there's a forum that's called, normally it's just the topic of the week 3, cultural response. You open that up and you see what the reading is due and then your assignment. And this will always show as a comprehensive assignment out of the syllabus. So it says read the assigned material, submit initial reflection by Tuesday, 11:55 p.m., respond to at least 2 classmates by Thursday, 11:55 p.m., and then post a summary of the course interaction on Saturday. And that is the rhythm of almost every week during the semester. So there'll be assigned reading. We normally it'll be asked of you to basically finish that reading by Tuesday. Now, does that mean you have absolute command of that reading? Maybe not, but that's okay, because then we want nothing more than an initial post of sort of a key observation, a key insight that's come out of that initial reading. Do I want a full summary of that reading? Not necessarily, though a lot of times the readings are pretty small. I'm really more interested in some key idea, something that jumped out at you that you felt was very important that you post as a part of that initial reflection. And there'll be some weeks when you have several chapters. So I'm not asking for all those chapters to be summarized, but maybe something that's crucial, maybe from one or maybe even from a couple of chapters that seemed to speak that you thought were important and caught your attention and really spoke into your understanding of theology and technology, and particularly in light of maybe the ministry you're involved in. So you would post that initial summary of that big idea, not all the reading. Yes, you have to describe what the idea is. Understand everybody who reads connects to the reading somewhat differently. They may not see it in the same way you do. So take the time to adequately describe the idea as the author presents it, then talk about its implications in such a way that they are important to you, and that becomes your initial post. Um, that becomes the first thing that you'll post each week. Now, if you're looking at my screen, you're going, well, great. I just jumped down, added a discussion topic. No, fair warning, that's not what you're supposed to do. You'll find that in every one of these threads, I've already, or every form, excuse me, I've already put in a thread that says reply to this post, do not start a new thread. That's my caution to you, because what I want you to do is after you enter into the forum, you can just navigate immediately to this prompt, click on it, and voila, you have the same posting prompt available to you. So you get the same place. So you know you are in the right place to do the posting. But then you will click on the right-hand side, a reply button. And that reply button then opens up a text box. And this is where you'll post what says your reply, but your initial post for that week. Now, why do I do that? That's mainly to assure that all the flow of interaction each week when it comes to the initial post and the engagement with each other occurs in one page in a way in which you can choose to engage that by sort of navigating across each of your classmates' thinking and the interactions going on there. But one thing we've learned is that and I'll just back this up one thread, if I had you post a discussion topic, there is a tendency to create silos. As a matter of fact, to read them, you have to open up each topic and then read the initial post, read the responses, close that one, open up another topic, or at least navigate through the bars from one person to the next. And what I've discovered is that tends to create silos when it comes to interaction. So, yes, by replying to each other, what we'll get is a navigation thread where you'll see different postings and replies. And when a new one appears, it'll be colorized, so you'll kind of know what's new inside there and where to go to see those. But your eyes are always scanning over your classmates' thinking and their engagement with each other. And that makes for a much easier location to pick up the major themes that you want to use when you're posting a summary on Saturday. And we'll get to that in a moment. As a matter of fact, in this kind of process, what I'm hoping happens is that we're not just engaging with any one other person or two other people. We're beginning to get a sense of the flow of all of the engagement around the reading as each week unfolds. And it's just a kind of way of doing that. Now, so you've posted your reply, you've been involved, and you're fairly well done with this thread in and through, let's say, Friday. A lot of times people sort of wrap up their engagement with each other. Yeah, the minimum expectation is 2 replies to other classmates. Normally, if you're going to get full points, by the way, you'll probably need 3 or 4 replies just to add the extra for an excellent engagement, just so you know that. But that you're kind of done at that point. And once you're finished, you can always navigate up here, but I'm going to go back to the weekly forums. We're going to go back to week 3. And once you are finished with the cultural responses, then that same week, you'll see post summary of weekly discussion on Saturday. You click on that forum, and you're also going to be stuck with clicking in a reply. The reason is this forum is set up a little bit different. It's called a Q&A forum. And what that means is that you have to post your summary. So you have to click on this, and you have to then hit reply. And there's your text box again. And you have to post your summary before you see your classmates' summaries. This gives you a chance to really kind of hone in on your ideas without being interfered by other people's summaries up to that point. But you do get to see everyone's summary. You do get to see everybody else's reflection. So we're really listening to each other, gaining from each other. This just gives you an opportunity to make sure you've kind of identified what you think is important and post that on that summary. And then the other summaries will appear. And that becomes kind of the regular flow of each week, so that as you're going through the forums, you will find an opportunity to post, engage. Then on Saturdays, identify the summary form, post, engage, and that's how you'll move forward. Now, every 2 weeks, week one's different. So let me just note this. That there is no summary form for week one. We're spending time getting to know each other. But every 2 weeks, I will then assign a class grade for class participation to those 2 weeks of engagement. The way the syllabus is designed is that each week is worth 25 points, so roughly 350 points of online interaction that way. And I have a tendency to go 2 weeks before I assign a grade, because I like to kind of have a sense of how you're doing, not just week to week, and having an argument between what's 25 versus a 24. But if you have done well, I'm able to kind of respond every other week and offer a little bit of coaching, perhaps directly to you through the course grade text box. But mainly, I'm just looking, are you identifying a key idea? Are you identifying where it's located? So yes, you identify the pages or the location of that key idea. You are summarizing that idea accurately, but more importantly, also talking about the implications and the potential in light of the larger topics of technology and theology, or of your ministry, so that there's a kind of substantive reflection on that. And then that you're building comments to your classmates that do pretty much the same thing, that even as you reply to them, you may show how that connects to another idea. You might even mention maybe a different place in the reading, including a citation of why that's important. And what's happening is we're building knowledge during the week through our initial post and our replies to each other, that actually gives us a better sense of the whole of the reading than it's if I would have required, say, a book review of that same material. So there's a strategy built into that. Then you take a pause, and on maybe late Friday night or sometime on Saturday, you review back over that material, and you post what you think best summarizes the themes, the important themes that came out of the class interaction for that week. And yeah, you can even point back to a dialogue with the reading if you want to do that as a part of your summary. But I'm really mainly interested in how attentive you are to what was important in light of the total investment of the class in these forums, not so much just resummarizing the reading one more time in that summary. Okay. Now, one last thing I'm going to point out to you as a part of this section of the Moodle engagement, and that is to go back to, well, we'll start with week 3 for a second. And yes, you're back in the reply, and maybe you even posted your first written initial reflection, given a little bit of time, a little bit of measure on what that's been important to you, made sure the citations were there. But you want to reply to somebody else's post. Do you have to type those up? I mean, is this going to be basically spending all your time on a keyboard? Well, it doesn't have to be. So if you click on reply, which I've done, text box opens up. If you see on the far right-hand corner, you can click on the advanced link. And all that does is it opens up the reply box so it's bigger, and you have actually, well, opportunities to change the paragraph style, add bold or italics. You can do sort of different kinds of things like add in a hyperlink, or actually even a picture. Those are just things to kind of beef up your either initial post, if you're doing it for that, or in your replies. But particularly in your replies, pay attention to 2 icons. One is a microphone for audio. The other is a little camera icon for video. And if you click on that video, you'll be invited to start a recording. And you can actually record a video reply to someone for up to 2 minutes. Now, it's a little buggy, so it takes a moment for the video to start, but you'll recognize it once it does. And then you have a 2-minute countdown to kind of summarize your comment to your classmate. And you can actually then stop the recording, attach that inside the text box, and upload, and then basically post it as a way of engaging with a classmate. And 2 minutes is not bad. At about 150 words per minute, that means that you've covered quite a bit of material if you want to use a video interaction. The same way you can do audio, you start the recording. This time you have up to 5 minutes, and you can actually reply to a classmate by just offering a verbal response to that. If you see a connection to the reading, you might even notate as a part of that verbal response where that idea came from, if you're going to kind of connect the dot with ideas. But 5 minutes is there because, frankly, when we're not talking into a camera, but we're talking on a mic, doing a podcast, or even from our phone, we tend to occupy a little more air when we're doing those discussions. And so I've made sure you've had more time than just 2 minutes if you want to utilize that. To help you, let me just back out of this for a second. On the first week of our interaction under introduction, I've already provided for you, once you hit reply to this post, you'll see the first thing underneath it is a video from me demonstrating how this works within Moodle. And it also includes the kind of prompts you need, like the fact that you need to actually attach the file and post a reply. But that information is available. And as you can see, you can even type into the text box and then add in the video if you want to do that. Or if you go back to the weekly cafe and you go to week 2, you're going to find a prompt for me there, because you'll go down, hit the reply to this post, and underneath that, you'll see where I have done an audio version of the same way of interacting with each other. That's a demo again, and it shows how you can actually then type in, where you were talking about in your audio, the page numbers you were alluding to, or add maybe an additional comment if you need to do that, so that each of these boxes can be a bit of a hybrid between text and video, or text and audio, if you choose to utilize it that way. That's up to you. What I'm really hoping is, as we work through these different forums from week to week, that they don't just become a string of text, but there are moments where we actually might even have a conversation, albeit asynchronously with each other. It'd be interesting to have a posted reply by audio that's responded to by audio that's responded to by audio. And just so you know, those documents are available to you after they're posted, so that you could, even if you, in your notifications, for instance, you could get them and you could choose to download them if you want to do it that way on the fly, or you can always come in and listen to them by stream by being inside Moodle. Okay? But that is one of the things that we will be doing. So big rocks, remember, each week there'll be a forum normally identified by week that encourages regular conversation with each other. And then another forum, slightly different format, that encourages, summaries of those discussions for that week. And that becomes the basic rhythm to what we'll be doing week to week in the class, alongside those makerspace projects, which again have their own resources and have even their own form box, so that you can actually work more closely with people who want to collaborate with you around your project, or people that you're willing to collaborate with around their project inside those elements. Well, I'll just go back to the main page. Let me encourage you, if nothing else, to take some time and walk through the major pages, get used to them. Don't be surprised if, for instance, under digital communications, you see the elements there, the glossary, where you'll upload your key concepts and ideas. The forum, you'll note, is not available until you actually upload those glossary ideas, and you'll have up until mid-semester to do that, so you don't have to panic around that. And then there are even additional resources inside each one of these maker spaces as a way of kind of getting familiar with the program. But spend a little bit of time, get familiar, and if you have questions, when we gather for the live conversation, I'll try to answer them then, or if you send me an email, maybe you've seen something that seems to be a problem, I'll try to correct that even before class begins. But I hope that this will be a pretty dynamic course that has several moving parts, as you've already seen, but at least is always navigable, if nothing else, based on the left-hand guide, so you can always get from one place to another, or is manageable when you just stay within the designated pages and do the work that is ascribed within those pages themselves. Okay? Well, you have my prayers. I'm looking forward to see you, not just in the video moment, but online through our online interaction. And if there are any concerns, feel free to reach out to me. But I'm hoping this will be an intriguing class, not only in the content, but also in its design as a way of kind of modeling, if you will, multiple ways of interacting with each other. So God bless, and we'll see you soon.